So how did you, with Aneta, so you mentioned like you were like living, parallel lives for a while until it synchronized. When did it first come together? How did all that come about?
Well, that come about after being at a stage where I've gone through the competition thing. What happens when you get roped into that competitive world of bodybuilding is your life revolves around lifting weights and eating. Okay, so at that time I had gone from 72 kilo Adrian, or to and being say 16, 17, and sort of being that athletic build, I guess, right, to 104 kilo Adrian, right, who was just a fucking ox, right? Wore happy pants and a bum bag and got around. Like that was the extent of my clothing, was loose fitting clothing, and just eating every 3 hours, right? So that was my life. I had this realization, and it's whether it's right or wrong is another thing, but I thought, if I'm going to attract someone into my life that I want to settle down with, are they really going to love like the way I am at the moment? Am I going to appeal to the right type of person? I was going through a bit of a shift in life at that time where I was working at the gym, training at the gym. My best mate owned the gym, Mark, right? But there was things that weren't really working out with my employment there. I was unhappy with the role that I was given. I was given a sales role, which was okay, but it wasn't going too well. The new manager started. He was giving me the shits. We were rubbing each other the wrong way. And so things had to change. And I knew of Aneta, like for a long time, as you know, right? So like, we were living a few streets apart. I bought a set of mags off her brother at one point. He went to the gym. Whenever we'd sort of hang out at the beach, we'd sort of see Paul and he had this awesome little like hotted up Honda Civic, lowered, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, fully. All right. So we'd see each other, and I would see Aneta whenever she was out with him and his mates. So we'd see each other in the gym because I'd work there. So it'd be like she'd come in, swipe her card or whatever, and then go into the gym. So at one point we got to chatting, and I just sort of had this, I knew already because a little birdie told me that she had a little bit of a crush on me, right? So I kind of knew that was something there. And at the same time, because I was going through this shift, I had one of these moments at 2 a.m. in the morning where Tony Robbins come on the screen in the infomercial and had this program called 30 Days of Personal Power. So I had a credit card with like $1,000 limit on it, which I'd got to go to Queensland one year, and I was still fucking paying the thing off like 3 years later. Yeah. Right. So I bought the program on that. Anyway, one of the first things to do within that program is outline the things that you want in life. And not just outline, oh, I want a car. What kind of car? I want a girl in my life. What does she look like? What kind of attributes does she have? What is she into? So my girl had to be petite, had to have brown hair and brown eyes, was health conscious, had to look after herself, wasn't outgoing, as in like, I didn't like women that were like over the top and, boisterous and all that kind of stuff. Someone who was very sort of, I wouldn't say shy and reserved, but, not outgoing, like in that sort of out there sort of thing, just very poised is the word that I wrote, poised. So I wrote down petite, health conscious, brown hair, brown eyes, I wrote down like just all these sort of attributes, okay? So then I write all this down, it's etched in my mind, I'm doing my own sort of visualization as to who this person is. And then I'm at the gym, Aneta walks in, signs in, I'm like,
that's my list.
That was everything I just wrote down, right? Yeah. This is interesting. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. Then we had a couple of conversations, and then one time I was in the gym, it was 8 o'clock at night. Aneta would come in from work, she'd work up in Sydney and come in and do a workout late at night. So I got to chatting and we just had a chat. And the conversation kind of went like, what are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with yourself? All this kind of stuff. And I said, I'm not really happy with where I am at the moment. I feel like I need to change. I'm not quite sure what to do. Things aren't sort of working out too well. I'm gonna have to do something with myself. And she said, well, you're a very confident guy and you carry yourself really, really well. I'm sure whatever you put your mind to, you'll achieve. All right? I went, well, how the hell does this person know this about me? So that was a little bit of an insight as to what opinion she had formed of me and what her observation was. So then I went away, had a thought about it, come in, handed in my resignation. That was my last day. And then saw her again. Couldn't wait to see her again because I wanted to tell her what had happened. And I said, Aneta, based on our conversation yesterday, I quit my job. So thank you. All right? Well, because of me? Well, yes, mostly. Right? You gave me the strength that I needed to sort of, do something better. So seeing as though like I'm not going to really see you much, did you want to get together? All right? And then she gave me a phone number, an email, a pager, and she gave me a fax number, her next of kin. No, she gave me her number. She wrote them down on a post-it note. That's what we used to do back in the old days, right? And we wrote it down on a post-it note, and that was the end of that. We got together, and the rest is history.
Yeah, wow. What a cool story on how that sort of the synchronicities is parallel, and then it comes together up from the list.
Yes.
Just writing, listen, and boom, just it appears in real life, right?
Just understanding what you want, and sometimes when you write it down, it seems to do something to the brain, which brings it to life, and your brain starts to go and search for these things. So that can happen in a positive sense, and it can also happen in a negative sense.
Exactly right. So I feel that like intimate relationships, along with parents, intimate relationships and also kids are probably the best place to learn life lessons because they know all of your good buttons and they know all of your bad buttons and vice versa. Yeah. So with you and Aneta, like you guys now have 3 beautiful sons who I've had the pleasure to meet. Think the world of them. They're awesome.
Thank you.
So between the moment of coming together and then having the kids, what are some of the things that from a life lesson point of view, what are some of the things that you and Aneta have worked through, and what are some of the positive things that have happened as well?
Mate, we'll be here forever.
What's the top 2 things?
Look, I'll try and be more brief around this so I don't go too deep in the conversations, and I'll try not to cry at the same time because there's a lot of things that have really tested us. So, there's been so many beautiful moments from the time we got together to the time we got married and went away and went on a honeymoon, all that kind of stuff, bought our first house together, all the cliche moments, were all there. But the times that have really tested us, look, it's one of the biggest times that have come to mind is when Aneta lost her mum to cancer. So that's a pretty dark time. It's a time that really still to this day affects her greatly. There's a lot of things that surround that particular event which we didn't know about. We found out sort of the last minute. We had too little time to do anything about it, and it's one of those things where you start to think, you start to count your cards about how important, how precious life is. So there's that moment, and we still work through tough times like that. Mother's Day is always one of those things where it's bittersweet. She's got 3 beautiful boys, but her mum's not there to celebrate that. We lost a little girl. That's another time, in between Sebastian and Isaac. So, that was a time that really rocked us. These sort of things really work their number on you as a person and your intimate relationships and relationships that are people that are closer to you. And there's other times where there's, like, for me in most recent times, there's probably been like career change. So I ran a real estate business for nearly 10 years, and for 3 years before that, that was part of my life. So it's a very much a part of my life. It was very much something that we built together. We made a lot of sacrifices in order to get to where we were. So when it come time for me to make the change to get out of that, where I felt like it wasn't serving my higher mission anymore, that over the last few years has added a tremendous amount of strain. And I think that for us to work through that to a point that we're at now, and with your help as well, is there've been the moments that have been the biggest life lessons. It's almost like the world has a way of showing you what you need to work on the most by having events happen in your life. So in order to appreciate life, death lures around somewhere, you know what I mean? In order to appreciate how much you value someone else in your life, then it's like, well, let's just do everything we can to push this apart and get that person away, or to break you away from them, and then we'll see how much you really, really love them, how much you really, really want to make this work. Let's just see how your kids react to how you deal with that as well, and throw that in the mix. So there's tons and tons of life lessons that have come from that. I really feel that it makes you as a person. So if you're listening and you're saying, these things set to try us and they set the test, well, it is, but it's also a test of how badly you really want what you want out of life, right? Yeah. So those people who have something negative, and there's so many stories of people who have had horrific things. So like this to me is just like a piss in the ocean compared to the greats that we hear about that have had so much turmoil in their life and all these bad things, right? So we either have a situation or a decision to make as to whether we're going to go forward with this, and we're still going to pursue our dreams, our goals, and our passions, despite all the people that are saying you shouldn't do it, despite all the circumstances and events that are conflicting with your plans. It's almost like, I've got my plans, I wrote them all out, and then the universe goes, well, I've got a different fucking idea, all right? We kind of got this other little plan that we're going to just throw in there. Let's see if you can get over this fucking hurdle, Yep. And if you truly want to be that way, then great, because you'll make it. But if you don't, then this will be the test. Yep. And it'll tell you whether you want your marriage to work, whether you want your kids to still love you, or whether you appreciate life over money and things and material possessions, and whether you actually want to do good to leave this world a better place than what you found it, or you actually want to just take whatever you can and suck the life out of it for what you want, and despite who you cross to get it, So marriage and my the three wise men, like that has been just the biggest life lesson, and continues to be the biggest life lesson that teaches me the most. It's a strength that I draw upon, because it's truly how I connect and relate to everyone that I meet. Right. It's not about systems and processes and marketing and Facebook and lead generation and all that kind of stuff, It's about what you want to do, why you want to do it, and is that conducive to and in alignment and congruent with your deepest values and mission and purpose? Because if it isn't, change it. Yeah. Right? It's almost like my soul mission, going through business and going through coaching and getting into self-help and personal development, is to tell people that if your ladder of success, if you climb the ladder of success and reach the top rung and realize that it's leaning against the wrong wall, then I want to save you from going 10, 20 years deep into something that you think is good for you, but it's actually someone else's values and beliefs that you're trying to live up to, like mum and dad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like getting into the family business and all that kind of jazz. Yeah.
Cool.